Hello everyone, my name is Tom O'Connell.
And I'm Ruth Sherwin, and we work at the Newcomer Support Centre, located on the ground floor of George Street Middle School in Fredericton.
One of the tasks in our portfolio is meeting with newcomer students and their parents to register them in school across the Anglophone West School District. There are welcome centres such as ours across the province, all working to ensure a smooth and welcome entry for students coming from outside of Canada.
Most registration meetings are currently being done online. For families that are clients of the Multicultural Association of Fredericton, most registrations are being done in person at MCAF. MCAF, if possible, arranges interpreters for families that need information translated into their first language.
In this video, we're going to share information about what we do during our registration meetings. We will talk about the information we collect from families, what we tell them about our district and your school, and how all of this is designed to help you welcome newcomer students into your classrooms.
Collecting information about the student. Before the online registration meeting begins, parents receive as an attachment the school calendar, a brochure on French immersion, the district welcome package, and IDA forms if they are pre-kindergarten students. This is the social history form. You will also notice that it is called the newcomer profile. It is 2 pages, and in this form we aim to collect information that may be helpful for the school and for the teacher. Keep in mind that when we are doing this meeting, depending on the age and the English language proficiency of the student, the parents may be answering all or most of these questions. Most parts of this are very self-explanatory, but I will be explaining certain parts. You will see the student's preferred name. For this, we are asking, what name would you like your teacher and other students to call you? Here you will see the date of arrival. This is the date that the child arrived in Canada. Sometimes one parent may have arrived sooner, but we usually do not include that information. This part indicates the student's first language or dominant language. Usually this is the language that they feel the most comfortable speaking and understanding. Other languages spoken by the students are listed here. CEFR score. What you should expect to see here is either a CEFR score, such as A1.1, or you may see the phrase, "No EAL support is needed." In this section, we try to capture the child's interests, strengths, and extracurricular activities. This could range from musical skills to favorite subjects at school to athletic activities that they may have been involved in. We feel this part is important because it draws attention to the student's individuality. They are coming to Canada with a unique set of strengths and interests. Here, the country that the student was born in is given, and then we ask what country they were living in right before they came to Canada. This part indicates if the student is a refugee or an asylum seeker. For this part, we are aiming to gather any information on previous schooling. This would include language of instruction. Also, if there were any English language classes, how many per week, and what grade age did they start having language classes. It may also include if the student had previous French language classes. If the student is about to start kindergarten or grade 1, we would often include if the parent reports any preschool and how long the child attended preschool. This section contains a variety of topics. First, you see there is a space for settlement agency. This would be if a settlement agency has been involved with the client and if a settlement agency is supporting this family through the registration process. Next, this family may not read in English. Next, this family requires interpretation. The next item states that this child has had interrupted schooling for a period of time longer than 3 months, other than COVID-19 lockdowns. We do try, if we're aware of interrupted schooling, to indicate how many months or how many years this child was not in school. The next point is this child has a diagnosed disability and since sensitive information has been shared with ESS personnel. If we are aware that a child has a diagnosed disability, there may or may not be a report that the family sent to our Newcomer Centre. But we do take notes on what the parents describe this is. And we also try to call the school to give as much information as we can over the phone about the same time that we are sending the file to the school. And the final point would be similar to that. This child has a medical concern. So if there is a serious allergy or medical concern, we do write as much as we can about what the parent reports to us. This section talks about the parent's comfort with English. Keep in mind that sometimes one parent is quite fluent in English and the other parent may not be. So we try to make that clear in this section. Finally, you will see the name of the person who completed the registration meeting. In most cases, that will be Tom or myself. Sometimes when we have a high volume of registrations that need to be done, we do have members of the EAL team that are helping with registrations. But most of the time, you will see my name or Tom's name on the bottom of this. So just to recap, information that teachers and school staff can find on this document, you will find the preferred name of the student, you will find the date of arrival in Canada, the languages spoken by student and parents, interests, strengths, hobbies, previous schooling, and the CEFR score if English language support is needed.
What we tell families. During a registration meeting, we take some time to explain a few things to our newcomer families. We could talk all day about the various ins and outs of life in our school district, but we've decided to focus on a few key items. We understand that many of the people we meet are brand new to the country, some even arriving less than 24 hours before our meeting. So we're trying to avoid overwhelming them with information while still telling them what they need to know. Prior to the meeting, families receive a District Welcome Package PDF document. We don't go through the entire document point by point with families, but we do highlight some main areas of concern, including school closures. Snow days are an extremely foreign and often exciting new concept for our newcomer students. So we like to take time to make sure families know how to find out whether schools are closed on a given day. Busing information. We make it abundantly clear to families whether or not they will receive busing. If so, we give them their bus number, the location of their bus stop, and what time they'll be picked up and dropped off. If they don't receive a bus, we will provide a map of their fastest and safest path to school. Report cards. In particular, we make a point to outline the 1, 2, 3, 3+, 4, 4+ grading scale for middle and elementary schools. The district calendar. Families receive a copy of this in PDF form prior to the meeting, and we make sure to highlight important dates and the fact that students do not need to attend schools on PL days such as today. French immersion. We explain what options might be available for immersion and late immersion, and explain the program in general terms. We also give them the French immersion brochure. In addition to providing information about our school district, we also like to tell families about their child's school before they begin classes. Again, we try not to overload them, but we do share these bits of information about your school specifically. The school website. We will often share the school website on our screens and use it to go over school-specific information. We may also share a link to the website with families in an email after the meeting. The bell schedule. If we have time, we will go over the start and end times of the day, pulling it up on the website. This is especially true if students are walkers, so families know exactly what time to get their students to school. School Cash Online. We introduce this service to families to pay school fees. Sometimes newcomer parents may be confused when they see this, as they think this is how they're expected to pay tuition. But if parents have a work or study permit, that is not the case. We don't get them set up with an account, but we do explain what it is used for. Cafeteria and lunch. We let newcomer parents know about what cafeteria, breakfast, or lunch programs your school might have available. Also, if your school offers a free lunch program, we let parents know about that as well. We also make a point to tell parents to avoid bringing food from home with any nuts in it. School supplies and fees. If this information is available on your school's website, we sometimes mention it to parents. Footwear. Especially for parents of elementary students, we will make sure that they know to send their students to school with indoor footwear, especially during the snowy winter months. We also sent out a survey last month to all EST-AILs as well as administrative assistants to schools with no EST-AIL, asking if there's any additional information you would like us to provide to newcomer families registering children at your school. So if there is anything about your school specifically you want newcomer students to know before they arrive on their first day, you can let us know. Our email addresses will be made available at the end of the presentation, so you're welcome to send feedback or to request a link to the survey.
The WIDA screener. Near the end of the meeting, after collecting information about the student and then explaining information about the school, we do an English language assessment with students that do not have English as their dominant language. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about some of the assessment tools that we use as we assess the students' English language proficiency. On the student file that is sent to your school, you will see a CEFR score. This stands for the Common European Framework of Reference for Language. Examples would be A1.1 or A2.2. Keep in mind that this score is a global score, meaning that this is an overall composite score, which includes what we observe in the areas of speaking, reading, listening, and vocabulary usage. You may notice, for example, after further observation in the classroom, that a student's proficiency in writing or reading may be much lower than their proficiency in speaking. As well, we take a holistic approach when we are gathering information related to the student's English language skills. This means that we take into account not just the results on the remote screener, but also what they report about their previous schooling, what kind of books they read, how confident they are in answering questions, etc. Please note that because we are doing this assessment online, writing samples from the student are not collected. And on a side note, some students are very nervous during this assessment. As you can imagine, this can sometimes hinder getting a clear picture of their skills. We do explain that the results will not affect their entrance to school or their grade placement, But we sometimes find, even after explaining these points, that they are still somewhat nervous and may not be showing us what they truly can do. For grades 6 to 8 and 9 to 12, I'm going to explain the three main parts of the remote screener. The remote screener is a shortened version of the full WIDA. The full WIDA, if you are familiar with it, is given in person and offers more depth of information. Part 1 of the remote screener focuses on oral language. The student is shown 2 pictures and asked questions about these pictures. In Part 2, the student completes 6 multiple choice questions, which gives us a snapshot of their reading comprehension skills. And Part 3 includes a 3-paragraph passage that the student reads out loud as we listen for decoding skills and reading fluency. This is one of the pictures that we show middle school students. We ask them to describe what they see and what the people are doing. And we ask some extension questions related to this picture. So here we would take note if a student can only give one-word responses, or if they can produce full and descriptive sentences. If the student is not able to describe this picture at all, we would usually stop the screener at this point and not continue to the next part, the multiple choice questions. The score sheet for middle school and high school looks like this, and this will be sent to the school in the student file. On the first page, you will see the name and language of the student, and also some notes of what we observed during the screener. In the top right corner on the first page, you will see the CEFR score. The second page shows the results for each of the 3 parts. Sometimes the student is not able to complete the last 2 parts, so this would be indicated. For kindergarten to grade 5 students, a CEFR score will also be given. You will find that score on the newcomer profile. It is a global score, as mentioned before. For this age group, we use a variety of assessment tools, including oral interaction, talking about pictures. For younger children, sometimes finding out if they can identify letters in the alphabet. If appropriate, they may be asked to read a short passage. For pre-kindergarten students, you will see either A1.1 or no EAL support is needed. If English is their dominant language, we would indicate no support is needed. Please note that this score may change significantly before the child starts school in September of the next year, but we want to make sure that they get support if it is needed.
How this helps teachers. So why are we sharing this information with you? Well, we feel it is important for you to know what we do so that we can effectively work together to support newcomer students as they begin their studies at your school. Lightening your workload. We take care of providing this information to students and their families so you don't have to. We understand the demands on your time as teachers and administrators, so we aim to make this transition as smooth and simple as possible for you as well as for the students. If you do happen to go over some of the same information we covered during the registration meeting, that is perfectly fine as well. The families may miss details since coming from a new country and starting at a new school can certainly be overwhelming. Access to files. Earlier in this video, we shared information with you about the social history form and the WIDA assessment screener score. Again, the purpose of this form is, in part, to provide you with information about the student that is both easily accessible and concise. But how do you get your hands on a student's social history form? A copy is placed in the student's CUME file, but as you may know, the filing of documents into CUME files can take some time. If you want to see a student's social history form or WIDA assessment screener score before they start in your classroom, you can access a digital copy of their file. The easiest way to do so is to email either of us to request a link, which we would be happy to provide.
Thank you for taking the time to learn about what we do here at the Newcomer Support Center. Our contact information will appear at the end of this video if you have any questions, concerns, or feedback. You are also welcome to reach out if you have information about your school that you want newcomer families to know, or if you want to request access to a digital copy of a newcomer's profile, form, or their WIDA screener score sheet.
Lastly, thank you all for all you do to support our newcomer students. Your kindness and inclusive approach make a significant difference in these students' lives. You are providing them not only with an education, but a sense of belonging and acceptance. The team here at the Newcomer Support Center is excited to continue our work with each of you to create a space where every student can thrive. Thank you again, and enjoy the remainder of your professional learning day.